Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to eHeroes. Today is a special day. It's episode 300. We are Sparta. Yeah, I always just wanted to say that. But my next guest hasn't been on eHeroes since episode 16. That was almost 6 years ago, and we're going down under. And so, welcome, Pauline Longdon, and we're going to talk about all kinds of great stuff, especially her 300 Club, which matches ideally with this episode, the 300. And we're going to talk about copywriting. We might not even talk about my favorite love of Disney because I was just there, but we'll just see where the conversation goes. So, welcome, Pauline, and thanks for being
Yeah, thank
here.
you, Rob.
I know it's what,
I'm
like 4 in the
honored.
morning there?
I Yeah, something like that. Oh no, it's five. Five. It's
Uh,
just it's a decent hour,
so, you
like.
woke
But
up bright and early just to be on this podcast. That's awesome.
for sure, you're worth it. Absolutely.
I was watching, not really watching, I was more like stalking your Facebook, and you made a comment the other day about being the fourth best copywriter in Australia. And I really wanted to say, yeah, I'm the third best and I'm from America. But I
Well,
didn't.
you could, because I think the whole thing about that is like, people are just identifying as things these days, and no judgment. If you want to be the best, you want to, whatever, you can say that. So I actually chose the fourth, and people say, why did you choose the fourth? Because like when they say who did the list, I go, well, I just chose fourth. They say, why did you choose fourth? And I said, well, the Lord told me to come fourth, so I took it literally. Anyway, but
And it's like that
yeah,
one, I guess it was the one auto club or auto renter. They say they're number two because they try harder. And
yeah,
Herschel was
well,
always saying that they're number one. And
you know what? I didn't want to play that game because someone said to me, because this guy says he's number one, whatever, he isn't, who cares? Like, I'm not playing those games. And
well, the
someone
thing
said,
is I
what?
think you're probably one of the best copywriters on the planet, and I don't care where you're from. You know,
Oh, thank you. That's very
the
kind. Yeah.
over the last 6 years, I've watched you get. I mean, you basically evolved into this. You know, yes, you came out with a book years ago,
Hmm.
from I guess depression.
Yeah, from depression's darkness.
There you
Yep.
go, and you were still in your shell, and,
Yeah,
and although you
definitely.
were confident. I think that now the beauty of this is that people have watched you evolve, not only on social, but on your books, everything. And
Hmm.
and and you've become that powerhouse. And
Yeah,
big names are coming to you now to work your magic.
yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Just to finish off the car thing though, someone said, "Why don't you say that you're number two, so try harder?" And it's like, I don't want to play that game. I don't want to be number two. That's why I just chose four, because then people are wondering who the heck number two and three are. So I've actually separated myself from that game,
Yeah.
and I think that's something to like add to what you said about like my evolution. I
Mhm.
realized that like most of the reason I was in my shell though, Rob, was because I was trying to play other people's games, and I was too upset. Too No, I wasn't upset. I was too cautious of upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah.
And then finally I just went, you know what? I'm not playing other people's games anymore. They can have their little reindeer games, but I'm just going to play my own game with
Yeah.
my own rules and do what I want to do. And so what you've seen is the evolution of that, of like me stepping into myself. I had different color hair when I was there, on your thing last time, and that was part of it. I just like totally shaved all of my hair off and just let the grey come through. Long before COVID, it
Yeah.
was like I was like a trendsetter, but
Mhm.
I did that because I wanted that authenticity of me to come out, which has been a
Well,
key
let's go back
move
to that kind of that
for
slogan
sure.
that the other people use. We try harder. I don't want to
Mm.
try harder. I
No,
really don't. I think you and I are both basically the same age. I'm 50, I'll be 55 in a few weeks, and
great vintage.
I don't
Yep.
want to try harder. I have
No.
all this experience, I have all this knowledge, I have all the things that I've done in my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to prove myself over and over and over again to people. If they
Yeah,
see the
exactly.
value in what I do, I will help them. But I'm not
Hmm.
going to jump through hoops to try to convince somebody to buy from me. It's not
Yeah.
how I want to do
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to as well because I mean, you got these young guns that are out there hustle, hustle, hustle. And I look at them and go, you know what, I did hustle at the beginning of my career. I'm now in a place where I don't have to. And it's like, I don't know, like when people look at me and they go, oh, you don't work out because I'm, a little bit plump. And it's like, but that's okay because rounds are shape. So I am in shape technically. But
Hmm.
um, but when I look at them and they're in their 30s, I go, you know what I was doing in my 30s? I was like serving my nation, going overseas, going to wars, defending, what people stood up for. I had the washboard or the six pack, actually, 8-pack abs. I was like you, but in the army, like hustling, grinding, doing all the stuff. Now I'm in my 50s, like I'm also 55. I don't mind. I think it's a freaking great age. But the thing is that like, when they just look and they think that everyone has to be like them,
Hmm.
it's like that's why I said I wanted to separate myself from the game. The game that they're playing is not the game that I need to play at my age and experience, expertise, and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
it's like kind of like if you just keep jumping into that, well, one of my mentors and I used to call it the Piddle Pond. Like I don't know, in America you may be different, but in Australia when they have like a pool complex, as in like a swimming pool, they'd have like the great big Olympic sized pool that people train in and you can go swimming in that. But then they'd have like a little toddler pool.
Hmm.
But let's be honest, it's probably like 5% water and 95% piddle. And what I said to my mentor Trevor is that I don't want to be in the Piddle Pond anymore. I want to be in the deep end of the Olympic sized pool
Hmm.
because that's, you know, it's just where I'm going to feel more free in life, without the restrictions, and I can just really test my mettle and my fortitude in that. And I've never been afraid to actually jump in the deep end because I have
Hmm.
the confidence, maybe not just in me, but like whoever's looking after me, the boss up there, that's like, I'm not sending you to the deep end so that you can drown, Pauline. Just trust me. So I
Hmm.
do.
And it's funny. I'm listening to you, and I'm also envisioning the movie The 300, where he kicks that guy down in the well,
Yep.
it's the same situation. As we get older, we don't want to deal with all that bullshit. We're just gonna
Oh,
we're
exactly.
just gonna come into it as our own and say, look, we're owning this. This is
Yeah.
what we're doing. This is how we're helping people. And if
Hmm.
you don't like it, F off. And that's how it
Yeah.
is.
Well, that's part of the reason why I took the 300, like for the 300 club, because like above me there's like a painting by Rob Cards,
Hmm.
and he does all those like, currency things. And but the 300 resonates with me because of my military background. But
Hmm.
also that was part of it too, Rob, with me being my shell, was I didn't want to upset the apple cart, so to speak, in the industry. But the thing was that I was a major in the army. So I have leadership. I know what a leader does. A leader is not what you do, it's who you are. Whereas all these people are running around doing, 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 look, I'm a leader. It's like you couldn't lead a sinner into temptation, like quite frankly, like, just look at yourself. But anyway, so that was part of me just owning that as well. So I started up my own little group, like I call it the 300 Club, because it's got that kind of like Spartan kind of like, we just win and no excuses kind of attitude.
Hmm.
And also because it's only $300 a month. And it's like it was the obvious name, the 300 Club. How much is it? Oh, 299. Just 300. So yeah. And also because then for me, it actually locks a price in because
Hmm.
it couldn't be the 300 Club if I'm charging $500. So I've actually painted myself into a corner on purpose because that's all I want to charge people for what I
Hmm.
deliver. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a specialized program that you have that's 300.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone wants VIP service, if they want other stuff, of course their price is going to be higher. But this is just,
Exactly.
a program set for those that if all they have is $300 a month and they want to learn, join.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many other groups out there that are charging like 5 and 100, 1,000, 2,000 and that. And I just saw that there was a group of people that were actually not being represented and not being welcome
Mhm,
into the other groups because of financial difficulties, especially like I've got a soft spot for people outside of America and Australia that, that are trying to make a go of things,
mhm,
especially the guys in India, Pakistan, and, Southeast Asia. And then it's like, 500 US a month that's a mortgage payment for them.
mhm.
So I went a bit lower so that I could give them a little bit more money, and then they can also like afford to be in my group, but also feed their
But
family
at the
and not
same
not
time,
get
we yeah,
broke.
I mean, you and I want to help save the world.
Mm-hmm.
I know who you are. I know your personality. I know what you're all about. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're the same type of people, and it comes to the point where we're getting known around the world. The problem is that, whether I charge in U.S. currency, whether you charge in Australia currency, whatever, we get to
Mm-hmm.
that point where somebody in another country wants to buy from us, and they're like, "Well, Rob, I'm looking at your price, but then when I throw in the currency exchange, that's
Mm-hmm.
30, 40, 50% higher than
Yeah.
what I can afford. What can you do?" So now we're in a
Yeah.
dilemma. Do we lower our price for that country, or
Mm.
do we not do business with them? And
Yeah.
and I had this situation with a gentleman from Canada, and I gave him my price to help him produce his book, and he's like, "Yeah, but with the currency exchange, it's 39% higher. I can't come with it. I just can't
Mm.
justify that."
Yeah.
And so, sometimes we do pigeonhole ourselves, and we can't lower our price for somebody. But at least
Yeah.
now you have this program that works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for that, I mean, sometimes I am a little bit um flexible with things. Um, but the other thing about like when people pay is that then they appreciate it and they use it. Like, because mine is a membership where they get like copy critiques, and I teach them little things, and I even like have like experts that they can ask in the group, about AI or recruitment, and
Mhm,
how can I present myself well for an interview. And then I've got a high-end mindset mentor that I've been using for nearly 2 years, I think it is now. And so I actually gift one of my calls each month to the group.
mhm,
And so then I do an interview with Mary Lou, and then we chat about stuff that's pertinent to the group. That's They're getting access to people that they normally couldn't afford anyway. So
mhm,
$300 is, a fairly decent price.
mhm,
If someone did call hardship, I might, just gift them a month access for free. I'm not going to lower the price, but there's other ways you can do business with people without, lowering your price and your standards though.
mhm.
So
And
yeah,
I
I
think
like to.
I think what for the listeners, you need to pay attention to that. Don't lower your price, to try to meet someone else's standards. Make sure that your
Mm.
standards stick. And
Yeah.
and, and I think that's the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs. That at least now after COVID, post COVID, they're struggling.
Hmm.
They're still struggling, and a lot of them are lowering their prices,
Yep.
which means that they lowered their value. They lowered their own standards just so
Hmm.
that they can afford food. I get it. I get it. You're out there starving, but there's better ways to do it.
Yep. Yeah, there's always a way that you can work with people. But here's the thing, Rob, if you want to work with them, and that's one of the beauties of being in business for yourself, is that you don't have to work with everyone. and I see you how you're a bit curmudgeonly every now and then, a lot of the time. It's
every
like,
day.
conversations with Rob, it's like, oh, this person. And I get it, because I mean that's like clear boundaries. And I mean we need to have clear boundaries because it's our business, and
Hmm.
people don't get to tell us how to do our business, just the way I don't get to tell them how to do their
Hmm.
business. And what I find is like, um in life, if you want something bad enough, then you will do everything, and I mean everything,
Hmm.
to make it happen. Like, one of the things that I did that like people are dumbfounded about is that, okay, so I live in Brisbane, Australia,
I'm sorry.
and thank you so much. I mean, I'm still in therapy, but there was a guy in America that I wanted to be mentored by. He lives in New York, or Connecticut actually, and to be mentored by him, like, it's like going to Navy SEAL training. It's full on, right? And I signed up for 3 years, but by the time that the everything ended, it was 6.5 years. But every week, just about every week, I was up at like 3 o'clock in the morning every Friday, or well, actually Saturday morning, doing those calls. And I mean, the funny thing is that like people would always say, I would do anything to be trained by Paris. And I go, would you though?
Hmm.
Because like there were so many, like I started with 12 other people and only four of us graduated.
Wow.
So there were like that many people, like eight other people, that said that they would do anything to be trained by him, got into the program, and then dropped out along the way. And I get it, like 6.5 years is a very long time. You don't have to tell me about that. I know every freaking week that it was,
But
all of the homework and
you did everything that you could
hmm
to enhance your business. And
absolutely.
and when I started consulting in 2001, prior to that, I had a cleaning business, and I
hmm
ran both of them simultaneously for probably 13 years. And so for me, I was all the marketing that I was creating, I was also putting back into my business and testing and doing all kinds of, I did what I had to do to run two different businesses until I sold the one.
Exactly.
But I come across entrepreneurs all the time. And I said, what are
hmm
you willing to do? What are you willing to give up to get to the next level? They don't want to give up
Yeah.
anything. They don't want to give up money. They don't want to give up time. They don't want to give up. I'm like, okay, then you're not an entrepreneur. We all
Yeah.
take risks. We have to have things that we do that get us further.
Mm.
Me writing books, helped elevate who I was to the market.
Yep.
You're doing the same thing, writing books. It's that consistent nature that we take every single day that
Mm.
puts us on the map to get people to notice who we are. And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
there's people out there that aren't willing to do it, or they'll
hmm
say, I only want to do TikTok. I don't want to do Facebook. I don't want to do LinkedIn. You got to be everywhere today. You-
Yeah, exactly.
I hate
Yeah.
TikTok, but if that's the medium you want to get on, then you make sure you
hmm
share all your stuff everywhere else. But people don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's then how much do people want it?
Right.
Like as I said, people say I would do anything, and I go, I don't think you would. Even like Paris that I was being trained by, he said, you are the craziest person I've ever met. Like, because I actually traveled to America to go to an event that I knew he was going to be at, because that I didn't know how to become one of his like copy cubs.
Right.
And so there was an event, and I went, oh my goodness, he's going to be there. Gary Ben's going to be there. All of the legends in my industry were going to be there.
Mhm.
I had to borrow money from a stranger at the time. Like, we were kind of a very loose acquaintance. Some reason he offered me, money he goes, anytime you need a loan, I'm going to back you. You're a
Wow.
backable person. Um, Little did I think that I would actually be asking him a year later to back me, loan me $10,000, which only just paid for the tickets because of the currency conversion.
Right.
And then I worked my butt off to afford the airfares and accommodation. Forgot food though. So when I was in America,
You don't need to eat.
my partner and I were like starving, but that's okay. We could lose some weight.
let's talk about that because in your last episode that you came to America, your favorite cereal happened to be Lucky Charms.
That was so funny. I did that as a joke, and then yeah. So when I went to America, they had like the breakfast bar out, and I went, I've never had Lucky Charms. And then so I had them, and I took a photo because like if you don't take a photo, it never happens. So then everyone's going ballistic on my Facebook about like, oh my God, I can't believe you ate them. So then the next morning, I took out all of the Lucky Charms out of the cereal and put them on top of Fruit Loops just to really melt down people. It's so funny because I like to do stuff like that just to, you know, have a
The thing is though, you have been experimenting with human psychology for a while. And when
hmm
you come to America, you see what we do. You see what we eat. You see how we act. And
yeah.
it makes you a better copywriter because now you can say, okay, if I'm writing for a man or a woman,
hmm
especially in America, you can write like us.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to Australia and write like you. You can, go to Philippines and start writing like everybody has a personality, but every
Yeah.
country, every
Yeah.
country is a little different too. So
Yeah.
I liked in one of your posts, you said, when I write like a man, I stand up. When I write like a woman, I sit, you sit down. Like, wow, okay, it's just simple like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Usually I'm just like, taking the Mickey out of it all. But yeah, I mean I think it's important to immerse yourself in other people's cultures and things like that. I mean, at the moment I'm in a mastermind that's taking me around the world. Like I went to Panama last year because of it. I went to the Thailand a couple of months ago because of it. And then next month I'm going to Italy. Next year, if I stay in it, which I can't see why I wouldn't,
hmm
we're going to be going to Croatia and a couple of other countries. These are places that I wouldn't have normally just gone all by myself.
and I think one year you went to
um,
Poland.
yeah, I went to Poland to speak at an event, and then yeah, COVID
Because
kind of
Trevor
like
had invited
set
me,
back
and
in.
I said I can't. It's overlapping with something I'm already doing, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that would have been awesome.
It was a great event, but also more so for the fact that it wasn't what I loved about Trevor's event was it was not in America. It was like everyone had to travel to get there. So there was no home game advantage and all that sort of stuff. Everyone was pretty much at ground zero with like, oh, don't speak the language and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. The currency conversion was great for everyone too, by the way, which was kind of very lovely.
Mhm.
Because whenever I go to America, I instantly lose like 30% of my money
Yeah.
in converting it to American.
Well, let me ask
But
you, when you charge
yeah,
people, is it in their currency or your currency?
oh, it's in American currency because that's the currency of the internet.
The
No,
currency of the internet.
it really is actually. I learned that I think in the mid 2000s or whatever when I started to learn marketing because I actually was a marketer before I became a copywriter. I had no aspirations of writing. But then I couldn't find a copywriter to write for my business without making me sound like a charlatan and a snake oil seller. So I thought, damn it, I'll
I
just
know that
do it
was it last
myself.
year when you were in America. I sent some books to you, and they I guess they arrived, and you had to go pick them back up again. And then we missed each other because you were here in about 45 minutes away from me in Baltimore, PA, in
I
Baltimore, Maryland,
know,
and I couldn't
I
make it.
know. Yeah. So close but so far away. I mean, yeah, it's often like that. We'll meet in real life one
Yeah,
day.
one
It'll be
day.
great. Maybe at Disney World or somewhere really
That'd be
cool.
awesome. You should have an event there, really. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's I for those who are listening or paying attention to some of the episodes, I was in Disney World last week, and I had spoke about that a few times on the episode leading up to it, and it was
hmm
it was a fun trip. It really was. I
Yeah.
got to meet Mickey Mouse. I had a picture. My family had a good time.
hmm
The last day there was an incident. I can't get into it, but by and large, it was an awesome trip, and I think that anybody planning a trip to Disney World, you can
Mm,
talk to me. I don't make any money off traveling, but what I want you to think about, and this kind of works with marketing as well.
oh,
You
for
know,
sure.
every trip that you take can be overwhelming if you don't know the secrets of where you're going.
Hmm.
Kind of like marketing, or copywriting. If you sit down and start to write and you're not prepared to what you're writing, it's going to be overwhelming. You know.
Hmm.
But if you say, I'm going to kind of drop my overwhelmed feelings, I'm going to come to this with less expectation. Your body and your mind are going to find a way to appreciate things better. So, when
Yeah,
we go
I
to
agree.
when I travel, there are things that I would love to be able to see. I make a
Mm,
list. But I also know that, with airplane delays, with things happening, you got to be flexible.
yeah.
And so, you know, even in your marketing, stuff happens. You can't
Mhm.
control Google Ads, you can't control Facebook, you can't control all these things. The things that you can control, worry about that. Things you can't
Mhm.
control, don't worry about it. You know.
Yep.
And I,
Yeah.
and I think that's the problem is too many people think, oh my God, we live in this instant world, instant gratification,
Yeah.
instant internet, instant Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Why are the travel plans all screwed up? You know, and then, one of the worst things you can do is take it out on the people that are trying to help you. So if your
Yep.
plane got delayed and you're in there yelling at them, they're not going to help you. You know,
No.
if you kind of lower your guard a little bit and you say, uh, you know, and just be nice,
Yep.
you're going to get a lot more out of them. You
Mm.
know, um,
Yeah. I remember when one day there was I can't remember the incident exactly, but yeah, I said to the person because tension was like getting more and more, and as a break state, I just said, you know what, I wouldn't want your job for anything. I think you're doing a fantastic job. And, this isn't your fault, but
right.
please just remember that this isn't my fault either.
Hmm.
We're just like stuck in this situation together just for this moment in time. So I promise I will be nice to you.
Hmm.
And could you be nice to me? Because I'm very stressed right now.
Hmm.
And they just like looked at me and then just like a wave of compassion came through because instead of like that escalation, like it's just spiraling out of control upwards, I just stopped it
Yeah.
and I just went, you know what,
Well,
you know,
and that's how a lot of clients who come to me feel. They've been
hmm,
screwed over by their other marketing agency. They're
yeah,
frustrated, they're irritated, and they're taking it out on me. I had nothing to do with it, but they
yeah,
want me to be their angel. They want me to hold their hand. They want me to help them take the next step.
yeah,
So, I have to drop my curmudgeon personality and I have to help them. And
yeah.
sometimes I can't help them.
I get that a lot with copywriting as well because people say, you know what, I've been ripped off by copywriters before. They've taken my money, they've delivered crap copy, or they've just ghosted me. And I say, I totally get that, and I understand where you're coming from, and what's happened to you has happened to me from the flip side. I've had, you know, people who have like taken my copy, haven't paid, or that's been a very long time since
Right.
that ever happened. You fall for it once, you never fall for it again. Or, like one of the things in my industry is like, it's kind of like a risk reversal. It's like pay half and pay half at the end. I don't know how many times like copywriters will be paid the first half, they'll deliver the copy, and then they'll never get the second half.
Right.
So, so just to make people aware that like just as you've been burned and ripped off, so have I.
Yeah.
So, and so I often say, um, I get it, and I don't think I should be the one that's paying for the sins of the others.
Right.
I'm not that person
Yeah.
that
You know,
did that.
and and even though we are 55 and we try to be warriors, and
Mhm.
we want to have a Spartan attitude towards our clients, we also will protect them. We have their back.
Oh,
You know,
without a doubt.
my
Yeah.
my philosophy is you're my friend first, my client second. I want them
Mhm.
to believe that hey, if they're in a position where they need someone, maybe a drinking buddy or
Yeah.
shoulder to cry on, I'm there. Although I don't
Yeah.
cry on my shoulder, I think it's irritating, but I will
It's
do it.
soggy.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I have this notion that if you're nice to people, they're going to be nice back. And I've
For
had
sure.
clients for oh years,
Mhm.
um, but I don't do contracts anymore. And people are like, "Well, Rob, you're nuts.
Mhm.
You should protect your interest." Look, I was raised, you know, in an era where yeah, you could do everything on a handshake. That's how my
Yeah.
grandfather did everything. You know,
Mhm.
um, I I I think a contract is only as good as the person who wrote it, and usually
Yeah.
it's one-sided. Look,
Mhm.
if you don't like my service, you're free to leave at any time. That's
Yeah.
how I am. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I never lock people into any kind of
right,
contract as in like a time thing. Like I see, like with the 300 Club, that was one thing that I said. I don't want to have like a lock-in contract. People
right,
can go, like, and if they want to come back, that may be a little bit difficult because perhaps there's going to be a waiting list.
yeah,
And actually we only open at the end of each month. We don't have it open just willy-nilly for people to come in whenever they want. But yeah, I mean, I see so many people doing that scarcity thing of like, okay, you have to pay for a year in advance, or
right,
you lock in now and you have to pay me $300 a month for the next 300 years or whatever. And I see people like hold them to that. So, they're just constantly hitting people's credit cards until
right,
like the person, just either cancels the card or whatever. But
right. For me,
yeah,
it's never been about scarcity or FOMO. In
yeah,
fact, for me, it's always JOMO, which is the joy of missing out.
yeah.
And I would rather have my client miss out than
Mhm.
be pissy at me,
Yep.
And so,
Exactly.
they're free to
Exactly.
go. And
Mhm.
I've developed this business over, I mean, you can't have a marketing company, be around for 20 plus years,
Mm.
and not be nice. So yeah, it's kind of like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse, not the new Roadhouse, the old Roadhouse.
The
He
the
says,
original good
"Be
one.
nice until it's time not to be nice,"
Yeah.
and so that's the philosophy. It's I will be nice to you until the point where you say, "Hey, Rob, you're a jerk. I can't stand you." Well, fine, leave, go.
Yeah.
You're not for me anymore, and that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
As
for
we
sure.
evolve as marketers, our clients will evolve too, and
Yep.
maybe they need more than us. Maybe they need less than us, and that's okay.
Yep.
They can go.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I run my mentoring program for copywriters and business owners and whoever wants to be mentored by me. It's like I don't lock them into contracts, and what I do is I don't even get them to pay monthly. They pay for like a full call contract.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the fourth call, they'll be sent another invoice. But
Hmm.
that invoice is actually an invitation to move forward.
Right.
So if they don't want to move forward, they don't pay. And
Mhm.
if I don't want to move forward, they don't get an invoice. So and that's the way that I've run it from the start because I had so many mentors that like I would try to book a call and there was one of them in particular. I didn't get like a call with him for 2 months, but there he is hitting my credit card, taking his money and not delivering. And
Hmm.
so I said to my partner, I said, I'm not going to be that kind of mentor. I'm going to do it differently so that, with me traveling, my mentee shouldn't have to pay for a session that I can't attend. And
Hmm.
same thing, if they want to go to on a vacation or they just don't feel like having a call that week, it's no harm, no foul, because
Mhm.
being a busy copywriter and everything that I do, that hour I can put 100 things in that time. It is not downtime or wasted time for me.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't have that scarcity that I have to lock
Right.
people into a contract and then just milk out as much money out of them as I can, because
Yeah.
that's not the way I run my business.
No, and a lot of people, kind of accuse me of milking things, and I think they read my books and they're like, "Well, Rob, you already shared that on the internet." Yeah, I shared parts of things on the internet,
Yeah, exactly.
but when
Exactly.
it comes to the book, I assemble everything together in a nice package that then you can take anywhere. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm not milking anything. I'm just, you know, what I call
Well,
is recycling and repurposing things for a
yeah.
better, presentation.
I was going to say, I mean, you and I both, you've got your books behind you, I've got my books behind me, and there's three of them there that are, just basically my weekly emails.
Hmm.
But what my partner Ray has done is put them into like like their one volume is 1 year,
Hmm.
and a couple of people have got on Amazon and go, these are just like your regular emails that you send out every week. But here's the thing, Rob, not everyone gets every email. And actually, like, and if they don't get every email, I don't put all of my emails on the blogs, because
It's the
there
same
are
thing I
certain
did.
ones, yeah,
I
there
did
are
the
certain
same
ones I
thing
don't
for
want to
a
share.
lawyer. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you take your content. I mean, I took his podcast, same thing as your emails,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I took 52 weekly episodes and I put them into a book. And this week we're actually working on volume 6, so it's been 6 years.
fantastic.
And he
Yeah,
hands them out to his clients, and
hmm,
here's the thing: whether or not there's only going to be a small percentage of people that will read your emails or listen to your
correct.
podcasts or go to YouTube and watch your videos.
Yeah,
But people are buying these books because they want the content in front of them and an easy reference point that they can go to.
yeah,
And
because I mean,
honestly, we're not
even
making a lot of money on the books. We're doing it to help educate our clients.
yeah, I mean, when you think about like when people listen to a podcast or they're actually reading an email, it's a far different reading experience, or like like experience full stop, about how they're taking in the information. But when it's in a book, you read books differently than
Hmm.
blogs, or also like emails. So even people that have been on my email list from the beginning, and then they get the books, they go, "Oh, I forgot about that one." And actually
Right.
now that I've experienced it through a different set of eyes, like, 6 years later, 7 years later, they go, now I get what you were talking about. At the first moment, I thought you were crazy, and now I just go, holy crap, that is like
Oh, we
genius.
we are crazy. I mean, we're
Oh,
entrepreneurs, so we have to be crazy.
exactly. Oh, I own the crazy, like, anything else is like a badge of honor. So
But
yeah.
it's funny though because when we chat through Facebook, you have this attachment to the glitter troll, with the spiked hair
Yeah.
and to me that's funny because whenever time I see that movie with my grandkids, I'm thinking, hey, there's Pauline dancing around.
It's a shame that that little troll doesn't wear any clothes, but well, I whatever works. Yeah, I mean that's funny though. It's like that anchoring to certain things, but that's part of like why so many people know me and can remember as well. Because like when I used to have the brown hair and just like trying to be someone that I wasn't, you just fit in. But now, like, I'm not even joking. People like when they hear I'm going to be at an event, they are scanning the room for the grey mohawk. They're going, "Where's Pauline?" Then they see it. It's like this little shark fin going through. It's like, Pauline's here. Like insanity reigns supreme. Here comes the fun. So
Yeah, and
it's
and,
quite
and,
funny.
and so that to me is one of the greatest things that we can do as entrepreneurs is that we're showing up for everybody else. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's not that we want to, not that we get joy out of all this, publicity or exposure. It's just as we become more Spartan like,
Hmm.
we're embracing, you know, helping other people. And
Well,
so when,
when
it's funny,
yeah,
every time I land in the Dallas airport,
yeah,
I hear Rob. And I'm like, the hell? Leave me alone. But it's the more we're out there, the more our books, our messages, our podcasts, our
yeah,
videos, people are going to recognize us. And
yeah,
I think that was hard for me because I live in a small town. There's maybe 1,000 people here.
yeah.
And I don't even know my neighbors, so it's like going into other cities, and they're like, "Is that Rob?" And I'm like, "No, it's not."
It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's like I am so um famously invisible or invisibly famous. Like I go out in my own community, and there's a couple of people that know I don't what I do. They've Googled me and they go, Pauline, you're actually famous. I go, oh, I don't know what famous means. Like, seriously, what does that even mean? But then when I go to events and that, it's like, Pauline's here. Like, she's like the world famous copywriter. It's like, when did this even happen? Like, I'm not, but I just turn up and be myself because the funny thing is, like, although I can be out there and gregarious and like fun and that, I am actually naturally an introvert.
Hmm.
So I can occupy myself very well and all that sort of stuff. I don't need to take energy from anyone else. I get it from inside and I actually often give it out.
Hmm.
But it's funny, because like as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, if you don't get out there and promote yourself, then no one else is going to do it for
Right.
you. And in a world of like clutter and noise and all that sort of stuff, and sometimes the noise is about you, it's like, well, someone else is making noise about me. Maybe I need to actually clarify that or add to it.
Hmm.
So you just have to get yourself out. And I think that's one of the biggest things with the success of my career and that is you just have to keep showing up, even
Yeah.
when you don't feel like it. You and I were talking about getting COVID. And
Hmm.
I ended up with long COVID. I ended up losing hearing. I actually wear hearing aids. Um, it was really horrible.
Yeah.
But even like at the beginning of last year, my left ear went totally deaf. I had a whole week of calls. I just paid for a really expensive course getting up in the middle of the night for, and I just went, I can't do a damn thing about my hearing.
Hmm.
But if I miss these things, it's going to be detrimental, the flow on effect. So, Pauline, this is a shit situation, but just keep showing up. Just
Yeah.
keep showing up. And anyway, it paid dividends because that was at the start of when AI and Chat GPT and everything was coming out. And now I'm a copywriter who is like on the not the forefront of AI, but I'm an early adopter of it. So I've been keeping pace with it. And now I'm building
Oh,
copywriting bots and
and
things
this
like
this
that.
this
So
whole episode is for those
mm,
actually paying attention. We can sum it up as just keep showing up, because this podcast
exactly.
wouldn't happen if I didn't show up. And,
Yep.
and so, yes, I started this podcast in 2018. It's now 2024. So
Mm,
that's 6 years of podcasting on a weekly basis, 300 episodes, and you don't get this far if you don't show up.
yeah.
So,
Congrats,
and
by the
and
way.
and so, maybe there's fears out there for people that are becoming an entrepreneur now because of
Mm,
AI. AI is just a tool. AI
it
is,
is.
and if you can understand how to master that tool, you will be
Mm-hmm.
so much better for it. But don't come in and say, "Oh, I can't. My job's gonna," uh," and whine about it because AI is taking things away from you. You're not an entrepreneur. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to overcome, you got to adapt, you got to keep showing up, and you will be better than the AI.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yep.
how do people find you, and how do they join the 300 Club?
Well, they can find me at thecopyalchemist.com. That's my website. I have a weekly newsletter I've been sending out for I call it the knowledge nuggets. I've been sending that out for like I'm up to my ninth year in about
Wow.
October actually. So that's not
You
too
talk
bad.
about
And
you talk about keep showing up.
Well, and you know what? I haven't, and I'm touching wood right now. I've not missed a week. Although I went to a hospital, people have died, pets have died, life happens, but I just will not give myself an excuse because the first time I give myself an
Pauline died
excuse, it
while trying to
becomes
write it,
very
and she said, "That's
yeah,
it. I'm going to keep doing it."
exactly. It's that it's like just keep doing it.
Mm.
So yeah, so they can find me on my website or check me out on Facebook. The 300 Club is like, just send me an email at Pauline at thecopyalchemist.com and I can like I can have a chat to you or like, tell you what it's about, see if you think you're a good fit. As I said, princely sum of $300 US a month. But yeah, just
And I'm going to up the ante a little bit. Okay.
hmm
Anybody who joins Pauline's 300 Club because you listen to this podcast, reach out to me, say you joined, and I will send you one
hmm
of my books for free.
Well, that's quite an offer.
So,
How good is that?
yeah. So, and I'll probably ship it through Amazon because some of you might be overseas and US Postal Service screws everything up. So Amazon will get it delivered to you.
Fantastic. What an offer.
So,
Yeah.
it's, and you can get my latest book, which is The Unscripted, Unfiltered, Unwoo-woo, and Unguru, which is a great book. Or, any of my
I love you.
sarcastic books.
I love your titles. They're very good.
You know,
Typical
it,
marketer
it,
though.
it,
Yeah.
I just want to have them stand out,
Yeah.
and in the Rob Versus series, there's 8 books. There's 2 more coming out at the end of this year, and
Brilliant.
the covers get more ridiculous with each one,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
titles get more ridiculous, and I'm like, okay, what titles will I have for the next 2? Because I'm running out of ideas.
ChatGPT could probably help you with that by
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And the thing about ChatGPT though is I started experimenting and I said, and it kicked out some things and I thought were pretty good. And I said,
hmm
okay, now rewrite it in the voice of Rob Anspach. My God, that thing was so sarcastic. I had to tone it down.
That's hilarious though. That is really funny.
So we're about
Yeah.
out of time. This episode stretched a little further, but I think there's a lot of information. So please, everybody
Excellent.
listening, go visit Pauline at the
Copy
copyalchemist.com.
artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
copyalchemist.com. I'll put the link down below.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
like I said, you join her group and get a free book from me. So
Excellent.
adios, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
Thanks, Rob.